the news of the Rack Monthly. The month is quite advanced, and why it came to this delay I have already described in detail. This is the first video I made with DaVinci Resolve 16. I also decided to put week 10 in, so the news is at least reasonably new. The last month has brought us many new modules, and some of the module developers we already know from Rack 0.6.x are back again. VCV Rack is now at version 1.1.4, and the text structure in the plugin browser has been changed. You see, the development does not stop, and so the module developers constantly have to publish updates because their modules will otherwise cause system crashes. Especially in recent times, this was observed again and again, but within a few days all the problems were always fixed. Considering that in most cases we still talk about freely available modules here, and the developers do all this in their spare time, this is not a matter of course on the one hand, and on the other deserves the highest recognition. So if a module causes a system crash, be patient, everything will be fine. And now to the news. New modules. The Audacity modules were already available in Rack 0.6.x for self-compiling. Now the developer is also represented in the plugin manager. So far there is the clock divider CLK diff, the bit crusher bcrush, and the hard clipping limiter clip. Wiquid released version 1.1.0 of anomalies. These are the chaotic LFO modules Dadras, Halvorsen, Lorenz, Zakaria, Sprotlins F, and Thomas, all based on the eponymous strange attractors. Langur combines several attractors. Dual attenuator contains two polyphonic attenuators. Expanse is a resizable blank module, and Full Scope Black Edition is a version of the Full Scope by JW modules. VCV released in the Fundamental series the VCV Quantizer. In addition, in version 1.2.0, VCV Octave received a CV input. SLM has not only changed its design in version 1.1.0, but also released the module Tailor, a waveform morphing tool according to WTF by DAV Audio and WCO of Edge. In version 1.1.1, Clear Factory has extended its plugin Overdub by 2 modules. Out is an outbreak box, and SND is a simple aux send strip. Overdub is included in the Hall of Fame edition, but can also be purchased separately. Also new is the Octa sampler, an 8-track stereo sampler optimized for use with a wonky sag. That's why it's included in this commercial plugin, but also in the Titanium and Hall of Fame editions. The modules of Wrong People are now also available in the plugin manager. The plugin contains the script interpreter Lua, the Tourette syndrome simulator Tourette, and the multitrack MIDI file player MIDI player. Good Shepherd can now also be found in the plugin manager. The plugin includes the sequencers Stable 16 and Seg3 ST and the uncertain switch Hurdle. Also new in the plugin manager is SV Modular, where new is relative because behind SV Modular is Jerry Sievert, known for his drum kit, synth kit and chart desert modules. The synthetic line is commercial and can be purchased via the plugin manager for $10. Synthetic consists of the modules Big Blue, an 8-voice semi-modular synthesizer, and Eastside, a 4-voice East Coast style synthesizer. In version 1.1.2, DBiz not only revised its modules, but also released 2 new modules. Contorno Mark II is an advanced version of Contorno, and Span a panning module. Frozen Wasteland has released the pseudo-random value generator Seeds of Change in version 1.70. With version 1.8.1 came another expander, this time for the 2 BPM LFOs. Phase X supplements these by up to 12 different phase outputs. Even the recently teased probability quantizer Probably Node, based on an idea by Dieter Quantumstubler, has since been released. Skrilla continues to expand its plugin Skylights, or its version of the Turing machine, with version 1.0.2 and the Vectorizer. SDS has released the MIDI File Player Plus in version 1.1.0, and with it comes a new version of the Poly LFO, which now has the addition Snapface, and an old acquaintance, the module chords of Gratrix in the implementation of SDS. The latter has to be compiled by yourself. With the XOR, another old acquaintance returns with new modules. New are the formula module ASCII, the countdown module counter, the demultiplexer DMplex, the MIDI quantizer MIDI-Quant, the trigonometric noise generator NAG, and a blank module named Empty. The developer, also known as Unusual Sequencers, lives up to his name and also released other unusual sequencers. Quattro is described as inspired by a popular iOS app, 0880 as arpeggiator pretending to be a sequencer, or vice versa. Volt, the plugin Alessandro Volta always wanted when he would have been interested in microtonal music instead of rocks. And Flop, the logical consequence of using these plugins is a flop. As you would expect from the XOR, there are no manuals. The modules Watches, Switched Multiples, Shifts, Hybrid Bernoulli Mixer, and Tables, Quad Sequencer by Admiral can now also be downloaded via the plugin manager. Schmickler Works is not yet in the plugin manager, but the version 1.0 beta 1.7 can be found as a binary code or as a Windows version on the GitHub side of the developer. In addition to the node taker, there is now also the corresponding expander Super 8. Signal Flux released the simple knob and bipolar knob modules, which generate voltages. Simple knob in the range of 0 to 10 volts and bipolar knob in the range of ±5 volts. In addition, the modules Attenuate, Attenuate and Invert, whose functions correspond to their name. The modules of StockKit could already have been compiled for Rack 0.6.x. Now the developer can also be found in the plugin manager. Grandy is a stochastic synthesis generator, Stitcher, a module for stochastic concatenation, and GenEcho, a module for stochastic decomposition. Not only has Shuttling Hamster released a new design, it has also released the Bitwise module, a sample and hold pattern filter, and is now at version 1.1.0. Count Modular is slowly but steadily catching up with NIST. The ratio is still 49 to 120 in favor of NIST, but the count offers us 4 new modules. These are the slope detector, as well as the gate comparator and 2 dedicated expanders. GXRM stands for random melody, GX logic for gate logic. Catro Modulo has been in the plugin manager for some time, but new are his blank modules Catro Blanco. They all have a CV input and 5 modes to animate them. Thanks to a Rolly C-board, Linstrument or K-board, the MPE technology is finding more and more fans. VCV Rack also supports these multi-dimensional controllers. MoDLLZ has released the modules MIDI Poly MPE and MIDI 8 MPE. For those who think having 16 audio inputs and outputs is not enough, the audio interface Audio 64 comes from Störmelder. A beta version can already be downloaded from the developer's GitHub page. Developer news and other news. VCV Rack version 1.1.4 has been released. The changes can be found in the changelog. System crashes of the new version are usually due to the fact that plugins are not compatible or that there are older versions of your plugins in your plugins folder, perhaps under a different name. The file log text documents the reason for the crash. VCV has adapted its fundamental modules to the new version. These are now at version 1.2.1. The paid VCV host modules for the integration of VST2 plugins in VCV Rack have been revised. In version 1.0.4, VST shell support for Waves Audio and Expert Sleepers plugins was added. VCV now accepts Google Pay, Apple Pay, as well as credit cards, PayPal, and Bitcoin for purchases via the plugin manager. Although there were no new modules in version 1.1.2 of Count Modular, there were many improvements to existing modules. Friedrichs Audio has announced that there will be a V1 version of its commercial modules. Maybe the modules will even be available for free. Also, Submarine has made improvements and fixed bugs with version 1.0.3. Above all, ZZC has simplified the graphics of its modules and is now at version 1.1.0. Computer Scare is further optimizing its modules and is now at version 1.0.3. Obviously, there were problems with the modules of Bidu, because 3 days after the release of version 1.0.3, already 1.0.4 appeared. Now they are running stable again. In version 1.0.5, the modules Limonade and Wave have been revised. The current version is 1.0.7. Störmelder has released version 1.1.0 and thus MIDI-CAT is officially released via the plugin manager. In version 1.2.0, Volt replaces the sub-oscillator with a regular second oscillator on Drummer 2. And the new modes of caudal are now selectable directly in the module, not just the context menu. For all chroniclers and people who have always wanted to know how it all started, Volt has now released the Volt Prehistory. Bog Audio has reworked its modules and is now available with version 1.1.22. In the Sample and Hold module SNH, it is now possible to select the noise type and the voltage range in the context menu. Lomas Modules has released version 1.0.2 of its modules. Pierre, known for his great designs for geodesics, Repelsen and Stellare, just to name a few, has released a new t-shirt design on Spreadshirt. Allright Devices has reworked the freely available VCV Rack versions of its commercial Eurorack modules Chronoblob 2 and T-Rex, which is version 1.0.1. Sonus Modular has released version 1.1.0 of its modules. The blank modules by Chiptuner are now also available for Rack V1. In the plugin browser they appear under TAG, the Great Azure. Also the modules of DHE were revised. These are now at version 1.0.5. After a lot of problems with Coffuri's What the Rack modules lately, they have been updated and work fine again. Challenges and collaborations. Very Cool Patch Challenge. In edition 36 of the Very Cool Patch Challenge, the module to be used was Rebirth from Repelsen. The contributions are summarized as always in a playlist. Edition 37 of the Very Cool Patch Challenge was once again something very special. This time, a random patch should be created with the module What the Rack by Coffuri. 3 modules could still be added. The contributions were summarized as always in a playlist. In edition 38 of the Very Cool Patch Challenge, all 3 oscillators of Mosquito Labs had to be used. The contributions were also summarized in a playlist. Edition 39 of the Very Cool Patch Challenge uses the module Rampage by Befaco. Submissions can be submitted until September 16th and are then summarized in a playlist. A new challenge starts the next day. Anyone interested in playing Musical Pulse? Unfortunately, the first attempt of a musical chain letter was not very successful, but now it looks like the new version is well received. The principle is simple. A person creates a voice from scratch and then sends the file to the other friend. The other friend creates a new voice and sends the file back, etc., etc. until you have a nice generative patch. First results can already be heard in the forum. Videos and tutorials. Catro Nomix. Integrating VCV Rack with Ableton Live. Cyball. Touch OSC VCV Rack tutorial. David Coffin. VCV as MIDI FX. Federico Soler Fernández. Day 16. Stages Segment Generator. Audible Instruments VCV Rack. Day 17. Marbles Random Sampler. Audible Instruments VCV Rack. Day 18. Tights Tidal Modulator 2. Audible Instruments VCV Rack. Day 19, Even VCO, Befaco VCV Rack. Day 20, Rampage Befaco VCV Rack. Jerry Sievert, Synthetic, and Intro to Eastside, and Designing a Fat Bass Sound. Jim Aikin, VCV Rack Modular Synthesis Beginners, Ready to Rack Basics. Modular Curiosity, Modular Deconstruction Episode 1 Final Patch. Omri Cohen, Additive Synthesis in VCV Rack. And Let's Build a Buchla Style Patch in VCV Rack. And Circle Fade VCV Rack Livestream. And Geodesics Module Series Part 7 Taurus. And Geodesics Module Series Part 8 Fate. And Geodesics Module Series Part 9 Energy. And Beginners Patches Introduction. And Beginners Patches 1 Basic Sequence. And Beginners Patches 2 Oscillators and Modulation. And Beginners Patches 3 CV and VCF. And Transposing inside a scale in VCV Rack. And RJ Modules VCV Rack Livestream. And Patreon Q&A number 1. And Impromptu 12 key. And Mutable Instruments Braids Synthesis Model Series number 33. And the XOR Modules VCV Rack Livestream. And Patch Dissection. And let's build another generative patch in VCV Rack. Shaunduhpostman, VCV Rack Tutorial Erica Black Wavetable VCOs Pulsar Part 1. And VCV Rack Tutorial Erica Wavetable VCOs through Geodesics Pulsars 2. VCV Rack Ideas, Techno VCV Rack Template fixed and mapped with TouchOSC. And How to make Techno Patch from scratch in VCV Rack V1. And Creating perfect sequences with ZZC phase tag in VCV Rack. And Mutable Instruments Elements in VCV Rack 20 Sounds. Waves Unlimited, Was möchten da Knopf, The Next Generation Episode 1, Setup Oszillatoren 1. And What Does This Knob Do? The Next Generation Episode 1 Setup Oscillators 1. If I missed someone, I'm sorry. Please give me a hint. These were the news of the rack for the month of August 2019. And please do not forget the important links below the video. A new newspaper issue will be released every Monday and a new video at the beginning of the next month. And not to forget, many thanks to Andrew Belt and all the module developers without whom all this would not be possible. That's it from me. Let it go well and many creative moments. Servus.